Hello, class. So this is going to be a brief introduction to the chapter on engaging customers and communicating customer value and advertising. Chapter 13. The key word there that I like to focus on, and it's good to put that into our perspective, is communication. All right, communication. What is that? It's sending out a message, I guess, right? I don't know what the definition is. I mean, I know what it means. I haven't looked up a definition, but we all know that communicating is having something that needs to be expressed and expressing it, and hopefully the person who we're expressing it to will pick it up and understand it. All right. So, what has that got to do with marketing? What has that got to do with business or whatever? So, basically, everything we do in marketing, the four P's and everything, it's all communication. Everything is communication. We are sending a message. All right. A product sitting on a shelf communicates to the customer, communicates something. The color, the one color will communicate desire or communicate a fostering of desire for some folks and maybe a repulsiveness for other folks, whatever. But something is being communicated. Our price, they pick up the price. Oh, this is expensive. That must be quality. Or it might be communicating something else. If it's too high priced, they might be thinking that we're trying to rip them off. If it's too cheap, or if it's cheap, some folks might take that communication as being, "Ooh, this is a great value." Others might take it as a communication. This isn't worth it. This is cheap. This is shoddy. Right. So notice that I have the same situation in different people. Different receptors are taking it in different. Receivers are going to take it in differently. But that is one of the reasons why we need to approach everything in marketing as communication, because we have to visualize how it is being communicated. So I'm going to quickly go over the promotion mix, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about communication, and then that's going to be it. You're going to dive into this chapter, but I'm just, like I said, this is introducing it. Now, the promotion mix is not the marketing mix, but the promotion mix is basically the mixture of things we do to communicate, to market, or to promote our business, right? So we have advertising, personal selling, public relations, and direct marketing. Okay. Did I say sales promotions? I think I missed that. So advertising, sales promotions, personal selling, public relations, and direct and digital marketing. Okay. So advertising. Advertising is nothing more than paying somebody to put out my message. Now, in this world where things are apparently or perceived as free, like putting something on Facebook or something like that, we so oftentimes think that, well, uh, do we really need to pay somebody for advertising? The one thing about paid advertising is paid for, so that means that you're in charge, you're in control. If you're just relying on electronic word of mouth and the internet or something like that, you're not paying for that. You don't have control. I pay somebody to communicate the message I want to communicate through advertising. So it's definitely worthwhile. All right. There's always a place. Well, in most instances, there's always going to be a place for paid advertising. There are circumstances where maybe you don't need it, but in most circumstances you will. All right, sales promotions. Sales. Why is sales promotions talking about in communication? A sales promotion. What is it? First, it was like a sale, right? It was $12.99. Now it's $5.99. Wow, that's a good deal, right? See what I just did there? I didn't even intend to do that. Wow, that's a good deal. Somebody received that communication. $12.99 now $5.99. There is communication there, right? We are communicating something that if you want to buy it now, right? Now, and that's the thing about promotions. Promotions are communicating something, all right? Now, sometimes promotions communicate what the opposite of what we want them to. Some people will say, well, if they can afford to sell this for $5 now, why aren't they selling for $5 all the time? Because they can't afford to sell it for $5 now. They're just doing it to get you to come into the store, all right? Or maybe they can afford it, but the bottom line is there's a purpose for it. There should always be a purpose for promotions. I've worked with folks who salesman, well, let's put this on sale. Let's put that on sale. What's the purpose of that? I just feel like the customers need it. Or they'll sit there and they'll give a customer a sale price when they didn't even ask for it. There's no purpose in that, right? You're not ripping anybody off by taking their money at full price if they're okay doing it. All right. All right. So anyway, so we have personal selling. What's that? Personal selling would be the salesman. Somebody walks in, shake their hand. My name is so and so. This is our products. Whatever. That's personal selling. There's many other forms of it, but that's that one-on-one type thing. All right. Then we have public relations. Public relations is just this is the one we have the least amount of control over, right? Well, almost the least amount of control over, but we don't have a lot of control over public relations. This is we might be in the news or something. We have control over some though, because public relations will also be like our sponsoring, right? And our charitable givings in our name, where we have our poster up during a charity event, right? It's sponsored by whatever. But generally speaking, it's like the news. We send out a press release. We're going to have a grand opening, so we send out a press release, and it goes to the media that we choose to send it to, and they run with it or they don't run with it. All right. So that's a press release. All right. And then we have direct and digital marketing. Direct marketing is reaching somebody directly with our marketing. A catalog in the mail is direct marketing. Going on sending somebody a email is a direct marketing. Texting is a direct marketing. Putting your logo on somebody else's web page, that's not direct marketing. That's digital marketing, but it's not direct marketing. Direct marketing would be just like that catalog. Sears catalogs used to come to everybody in the mail, and that was direct marketing. Just like as a young kid, I couldn't wait for that catalog to come in. I'd run out in the snow to the mailbox, grab that. That was direct. That was from them to me, to my parents, but I'm the one that kept it, right? And the same way as an email, that's going straight to somebody, right? So that's direct marketing. So let's talk about communication, right? What I really want to talk about communication is I briefly already said the thing about the product is communicating. Communication is, those of you who've had me in other classes where I talk about communication, you know that I feel that the effective communication is the responsibility of the sender, the person doing the communicating, the person talking or advertising or whatever. That is their responsibility, right? The receiver or the listener or the receiver, it's not their responsibility. We want them to listen and understand and catch the message that we're sending, right? That's our responsibility. We can't send out a bad message and then look at our market and it's just bouncing off people's brains. It just goes away and say, well, they're bad people, right? We need a better market. You didn't communicate properly, right? Now, sometimes the bad people, the bad receiver part does come in. People, and we have to try something different, right? But we have to send a message that is going to be received, right? Now, there's many people, many charts and everything. The book has a chart on the process, as a cycle of communication. I just want to finish with this. It is a process, all right? And I'm going to break it down really simple, simpler than any chart that you've ever seen. Communication is nothing more than you have the sender and receiver. There's a process. The sender processes something. Do I need to communicate something? Yeah, I do. That's the beginning of my process. I need to communicate. What am I going to communicate? I'm doing this. I'm processing it. And then I send it, right? And then it goes to the receiver. And the receiver receives it and then processes. So it's process, send, receive, process. Why that, what I was just saying about we can't blame the receiver if we don't communicate properly. Our whole goal in communicating is process in such a way that when we send it, when it comes time for the receiver, after catching it, to process it, that they do indeed process it. And they don't just say, oh, this is too much work to process, and they just skip it, right? I mean, so much of the communication and advertising is skipped. I mean, though, I mean, now that we can on YouTube or whatever, and you can just wait 5 seconds and press that skip, and you just sit there and you're hovering over with your mouse until you can press the skip, whatever. It's a challenge for me to do it as quick as possible. Um, I didn't process that. All right. So the challenge is to communicate in such a way that your process gets you to a message and a delivery system that when it's received by the sender, by receiver, that they do the process and process and the message that is processed is the one that you want them to hear. Okay. Now, identifying the right people is very, very important. I mean, I don't like to get political, but and in my opinion, this isn't political, but people have made this political. The thing about Bud Light a few months ago, well, a couple of years ago now, where they had the wrong person. Right? They had I won't even say the wrong person. I personally thought it was a funny commercial, and I got what they were trying to do there, but what they did is they sent one message that was tailored for a group of people who wasn't their market. All right. Their market wasn't ready to receive that message. Okay. And it hurt them. Now, I don't believe it hurt them as much as people say it did and everything like that. But understand who the receiver is and cater the message to the receiver. Right. That's why target marketing is so important. If we send out a message, I used a quick example there a few minutes back that we sent out a message to with the same message, and somebody would interpret it. The message is our price because that is a communication, right? That is a message being communicated. We send out put our price. One person is going to receive it as, oh, this is cheap and not good. Another person is going to pick it up as like, oh, wow, this is a great value. All right. So we need to, that's why targeted marketing is so important because it helps us identify the method of delivery for the communication, but also the message itself. All right. Very, very important. Don't send the wrong message to the wrong people. All right. And it'll hurt. All right. So that's in a nutshell. Get inside the chapter, and I will see you on the discussion, and I will see you next week.